Welcome everyone to the Rotary Club of Greenville. It is a delight to see you here today. It's amazing what a speaker who may bring up alumni ties for many in this audience can do for our numbers. I think this is the first time we have ever run out of plates at the buffet line, including for our guest of honor. So we are dispensing with our normal icebreaker today, but it is a delight to have you all here. A particular welcome to those of you who may be guests. We'd love to tell you more about our Rotary Club sometime through our Discover Rotary program. Be sure to ask a club member about that and we'll get you some more information. What a weekend we had with Greenville Holiday Village, a tremendous success for that committee. Let's go ahead and give them a round of applause. I know many of you were involved in that effort, and we will take some time at next week's holiday social to kind of to talk about that and recognize those accomplishments. I am the club president. I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege today. We will be introducing guests in a minute, but some of you may know I didn't have the good fortune to go to Clemson. However, my Clemson roots run deep, so deep in fact that my grandfather is joining us virtually today, a member of the Clemson class of 1942, Jimmy Scarden. So he is watching along with us, and a particular welcome to him. His older brother, Ben Scarden, died last year after an illustrious career, including as a Clemson professor, and was a member of the Clemson class of 1938. So I'm wearing an orange tie today in honor of them and, of course, in honor of our speaker. And with that, I would like to invite Greg English up to give our prayer and the pledge.
Would y'all stand with me as we pray? Lord God, we just come to you right now and praise you for who you are. You're the almighty creator, all-knowing, all-present, and holy, and yet you love us, and you've loved us in ways that are tangible in where we meet, the food we're eating, and we thank you for that, but also all the relationships that you've given us. And Lord, we just pray that you would help us during this holiday season to share your love with the people around us, both the people who are less fortunate and the people who are lonely and need relationships. So help us to, as we go through the world, be mindful of the people around us and serve our community and each other. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic, which
Good afternoon. So as you can tell, we have a full house and we have a full list of guests who have joined us today. So get comfortable as I read this list. Want to welcome Jane Layton, guest of John Kent. Carson Watts, guest of John Kent. Elaine Wurzala, guest of John Kent. Mark Nyblom, guest of Sandra Nyblom. Tracy Lamb, guest of Sandra Nyblom. Emily Pettigrew, Bob Wilson's guest. Scott Sampson, guest of the club. Don Ferguson, guest of Jim Puryear, excuse me. Michael Sheriff, Jim's guest also. Richard Schroeder, guest of the club. Imelda Medina via Zoom, guest of the club. Quentin Wiest, guest of Betty Wiest. Bryce Smith, guest of Sarah Wiles Smith. Tyler Robertson, guest of Jeff Cox. Shelby Askins, Sandra Nyblom's guest. Ingrid Versale, guest of Connie Lanzel. Is that right, Ingrid? Yes. Julie Hernandez, guest of the club. Faye Fulton, guest of Marty Elliott. Linda Killian, guest of Marty Elliott. Rebecca Darnarine. Did I get close? Close enough for hand grenades and atom bombs. Pam Weaver's guest, and Charles Eldridge, guest of Charles McCall, I believe. And as I transition, I'm also honored to be able to present to you. If the two of you would join me up here, you don't get to sit. As you know, we monthly hand out awards to the teacher and staff of the month from Alexander Elementary. And to sort of lay the groundwork here, many of you might not know, the school has about 460 students. And this year they've got 150 brand new students in the elementary schools. So you can imagine how difficult it is to get comfortable if you're a student at that school, and equally difficult if you're an administrator or a staff or a teacher to get those kids acclimated and start to get them educated in that environment. So when these fine people get nominated as Teacher of the Month or Staff Person of the Month, it's pretty incredible what we get in these nominations. So we have two incredible people in front of us here, and I want to welcome the Teacher of the Month, who is Carolyn Barbie. You may not be able to see it in the back, but I've highlighted some of the adjectives, and I think they ran out of ink with attitude, professionalism, dedication, professionalism, enthusiasm, attitude, professionalism for both of these ladies. It's incredible. For those of us that spend time out there, it's a calling to go there in the environment that they have, and you listen to the kids, you can read the feedback that they get, and the job that Carolyn does, the glowing comments, the dedication to her job and to the kids she serves is clear to anyone that interacts with her. She prioritizes positive reinforcements, which is especially helpful for some of her students who struggle behaviorally. We all would love to be around someone like Carolyn. So thank you very much, Carolyn. And the staff member of the month is Giselle Cravener. And I can tell you, having worked with Giselle as we filled the boxes for Thanksgiving, the food boxes, just an incredible person. Again, I ran out of highlighter and ink with the dedication, the attitude, the professionalism. She's the social worker at Alexander, and I don't think there's enough time in the month for someone in Giselle's role. The co-workers talk about her outreach and support initiatives that she's put in place with the parents and the students. And with such a transitory population there, it's really important. And things like she's been absolutely the best addition to this school. She's positive, helpful, supportive. Despite it being her first year and all the struggles that come with it, she always has a smile on her face, like that one. So please give a round of applause to these people. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's a special time in the life of any Rotary Club when they're able to recognize a Rotary Foundation major donor. Today, we have a unique opportunity in our club, not just our club in the district, but in many Rotary districts around the world, where we are recognizing 3 major donors who have all moved up to another level in terms of major donor and their support of the Rotary Foundation. So today we're going to recognize George Fletcher and Surrender Jane, who have moved from Major Donor 1 to Major Donor 2, and also Terry and Pam Weaver, who have moved from Major Donor 2 to Major Donor 3. It's also noteworthy, I think, to recognize that these Rotarians also are members of the Paul Harris Society, where in addition to extra giving, they have committed to giving at least $1,000 a year to support the work of the Rotary Foundation as we do good around the world. They are supporting our projects in Honduras, our water and sanitation projects. They are supporting our projects that promote environmental sustainability and our work on behalf of peace and conflict resolution. And it's also, I think, important to note that all three of them are donors to Polio Plus, where we are this close, really, to filling our pledge to the children of the world that we will leave them a polio-free world very soon. So if Terry and Pam and Surendra and George can come up, President Wade is going to recognize you. And if you want your, yes, individual, and we're going to get individual photos afterwards. So on behalf of Foundation President John Germ and the Foundation Board of Trustees, I want to personally thank you for your work on behalf of the Rotary Foundation, for your generous giving, and for the work you do to bring a better life to people around the globe. And many times when presentations are like this are made, we say that you are touching lives and of people that you will never meet and you will never know their name. But in this case, that's not true, because several of you have been to India to help vaccinate children, and a couple of you at least have been to Honduras, where we are saving lives of children each and every day from waterborne diseases through our work with water and sanitation. So thank you for your generosity. Thank you for being an example to others to encourage them to give as they are able to the Rotary Foundation. Major donors change the lives of children, of young people, of adults, of the world, and also of our own community. So we're honoring you for what you do today, and we're also saying thank you, not only for your monetary gifts, but also you will recognize these people put service above self and can be found in so many ways serving our community and our Rotary Club. So thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Caroline Stewart, and I am here to introduce some new members to you. So if Corey and Michelle and Jeff could join me. Great. Glad y'all are all here. Thank you. So I'm going to start with Corey. He's on the end down there. Wave your hand. Okay. Corey is the executive director of the YMCA Camp Greenville. I don't know if any of y'all attended Camp Greenville, but probably a pretty fun place, and he's the guy to know. He's married to Stacy, and they have 3 sons. Corey has been a Rotarian for many years in other clubs, ultimately arriving at the Rotary Club of Greenville, where we hope he'll find a permanent home. He's also a Paul Harris Fellow. Corey, I asked Corey, I said, how'd you support Greenville Holiday Village? And he said, well, I took my staff to the VIP event. I know. This is a guy to work for, y'all, right? Yeah. Corey is involved with extensive renovation to older historic cabins at Camp Greenville, which is pretty exciting. In fact, knowing about his avid Disney fan attraction, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them doesn't resemble Cinderella's castle next year. For those who don't want to return with your own children, Corey goes about 10 times a year to Disney World, so maybe he'll take some of yours. I don't know. Michelle here is the USC Upstate's Executive Director of Greenville Programs and an Associate Professor of Criminal Justice. Y'all, she probably's got some pretty great cocktail party stories, to be honest with you. Michelle has 3 children, and her volunteer services tended to be around education and the criminal justice system. She says she's joined Rotary to hopefully broaden her volunteer focus. Michelle just opened the first crime analysis center to serve both law enforcement and the public. Jeff is a senior account executive with Canty Tech. They do IT and tech consulting. Jeff probably also has some pretty good cocktail stories about boomers who can't figure out all of this technology. Jeff has spent the last 2 years not only focused on his work, but also focused on working out. Since December of 2020, Jeff has lost 200 pounds. And y'all, he started that weight loss journey in the middle of holiday food temptations. I mean, that's pretty good. So Jeff, have you written a book or are you a writer?
Not a lot.
Not yet. Okay. Well, because yeah, because Michelle and Corey is writing a book and Michelle has just finished a book. So Michelle has written a book about firearms in the US. So y'all don't mess with her, okay? And Corey is writing a book about a famous Rotarian that he didn't reveal the name to me. So we'll have to wait for the book to come out to see what it is. So maybe we need a book club. What do you think? Hey, Corey, Michelle, and Jeff, welcome to the Rotary Club of Greenville. We look forward to learning about your talents and sharing ours with you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Julio Hernandez, and I serve as Assistant to the President for Community Outreach and Engagement. I have had the honor at working and serving at Clemson University for almost 6 years, and during that time, I've gotten to see how transformative President Clements' leadership is and the positive impact he has on all those around him. As part of my position, I'm able to go into the community and connect with incredible leaders like yourselves who are really elevating Greenville to such a vibrant and wonderful city. I have lived in Greenville for 20 years now, and while my work across the entire state of South Carolina takes me through so many counties, and I serve at Clemson University, when people ask me where home is, I always say it's right here in Greenville. My zip code's 29605. And really, Greenville is a second home for Clemson and is part of our story as well. In just a moment, you'll have the opportunity to hear from someone whom I consider to be an outstanding leader and someone whose mission to transform and change lives has made a tremendous impact on Clemson University, our surrounding communities, the entire state of South Carolina, and beyond. Personally, he is someone whose servant leadership I admire. And my life is richer for knowing him and being able to learn from him. Without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce and welcome Clemson University's 15th president, Dr. Jim Clements.
Well, thank you, Julio, and thank you for those very kind words. Absolutely one of the best guys I've ever worked with in my life. What a blessing when he came to Clemson 6 years ago and have been, Julio, you've been promoted like 3 times since then. Keep an eye on this guy. He's got a great future. Well, good afternoon. Go Tigers. Everybody feeling good? All right. I got to do this just to start. If you attended Clemson if you have a child who attended Clemson, a spouse who attended Clemson, a family member, would you just please stand? Someone in your family. All right. All right. Look at that. Look at that. Go Tigers. All right. So this is Greenville, and this is Clemson. All right. That was actually impressive. Thank you for inviting me to be with you today. I'm honored to be with a group where we can do an invocation, where we can do the Pledge of Allegiance, where I'm with people who put service before self, and they're all about making a difference in the lives of others. So I'm honored to be here. And I want to thank you all for being a part of the Rotary. This group exists for one reason: trying to change lives. We're trying to give people a path to a better future. So you all know that the Rotary has a history of serving people. Started, if I did my research right, nationally in 1905, but the Greenville chapter, 1916. And as I believe, the first civic organization in this great state. So you're part of something really special. You're part of something really special. Your presence today matters. What you do matters. And I suspect you're all here for one reason. You want to make a difference. You want to make a difference in the community and in the lives of other people. And for that, I'm incredibly thankful. So if you think about Clemson, we started with a very similar mission: to give people a path to a better life through education, research, and service. So I believe we have a similar mission on a similar path, all about making a difference. Before I begin, and here's what we're going to do if it's okay. I got like 30 minutes. So I'm going to talk for maybe 20. For 10 minutes, you can ask me anything you want. Any question is fair game, unless it's legal or human resources related, then I probably can't answer it. But before I begin, I do want to thank your president, Wade Cole. Thank you for your leadership. Would you please help me thank him for leading this group? And I see a very dear friend of mine in the room, person that I just adore, another servant leader, Representative Jason Elliott. Would you please help me thank him for his leadership? He is Clemson's go-to guy in the House, and former student body president, incredible leader, big heart, wonderful, absolutely wonderful person. I know you have members that are some of my colleagues, President Elizabeth Davis and President Keith Miller. I don't know that they are here today, but they do a wonderful job leading their institution. Where's Jeff? Jeff, the new member, Jeff. Jeff, who lost, I'm 200 pounds. You lost me. You lost the equivalent of me. That's unbelievable. 200 pounds. So I just disappeared, basically. Oh, congratulations. That is amazing. Thank you all for what you do. Thank you for serving. Thank you for serving our communities. As I mentioned, Rotary clubs, more than 100 years old, founded to serve. So our founder, Thomas Green Clemson, wrote a will in 1886 to create Clemson University. And he wrote in it very specifically, our mission is to serve. That's still part of our culture today. We exist to serve others. So I want to take a little bit, just tell you a little bit about me. But I had a chance to research you. So you got business professionals from everywhere in here. You got executives, attorneys, engineers, bankers, small business owners, huge skill set that the community needs. And working together, we can have a great impact in the community. It's all about being united to create a better future for others. So I was thinking about your theme, Imagine Rotary, and the challenge to dare to make a difference and transform the world. If not us, then who? And if not now, then when? Thank you for being here. Thank you for stepping up to make a difference. So I've been in higher ed for 34 years. And for me, it's not a job. It's a mission. Trying to help give people a better life. Path to a better life. So for those of you who know a little bit about my background, my grandparents didn't graduate from high school. They had a 4th grade, a 6th grade, and 8th grade, maybe a 10th grade education. One of my grandfathers was a coal miner in Pennsylvania. He had a 4th grade education. He went on his hands and knees every day into a coal mine with a light on his head, came out at the end of the day, covered. That's what he did every single day. My other grandfather was a firefighter. He had an 8th grade education. He was from Washington, D.C. My grandmother's elementary school education, worked in factories. My parents never set foot on a college campus. Ever. They were smart enough, but they didn't have the financial resources to do it. But I'm thankful that my parents instilled in me and my 3 older siblings the importance of the value of an education. And they always said, if you want a better life, education is the key. But what I love, they said, just not for you as an individual, but for society as a whole. So when I was in college, I had to live at home. I commuted it. I worked like 25 to 30 hours a week. I'd go to school, work, go to school, work, go to school, work. We had absolutely no money in my house. But between me and my 3 older siblings, we listened to my parents. And we actually have 11 college degrees. It's 4 undergraduate degrees, 5 masters, 2 PhDs, and an honorary degree. And all of our lives were changed. And our kids' lives. And hopefully their kids' lives. So a little bit about me. I was a faculty member of Ramo, private company for 10 years. My background is computer science. I was in the University System of Maryland for 20 years, where I grew up. Then I was president of West Virginia University for 5 years. Great place, land grant, similar mission to Clemson. 2 places I loved. Came to Clemson in 2013. So I'm getting ready to start my 10th year here. Thank you, Julio. And I don't take it for granted. It's a blessing to be able to serve in the role that I serve. I love what I do. Commencement to me is an honor to give out diplomas, ring ceremony, to give out rings. It's a big deal. And I don't take it for granted. I'm honored to be able to do what I do. So for us, higher ed's changing like crazy. College athletics changing like crazy. And I want to talk a little bit about us, what we do here in Greenville, how we can thrive together, and then a little bit about the university. So here, we got a lot of stuff going on in Greenville. Many of you know about some of those things. You know about our work at CUI Car. Great initiative. You may or may not know that we just partnered with the U.S. Army, and we're researching the next generation of autonomous vehicles. So the Army actually came to us, and they gave us $100 million, $20 million a year for 5 years to help them build the next round of autonomous vehicles. That program's called Viper. Unbelievably game changer for the Army. Now for us, $100 million, that's a big grant. And that's a big, big grant. We have great faculty that are going to be working on that 4 years, but it's going to help the Army modernize their fleet. We launched a new composites center located right near CUI Car for advanced materials research that will help our state's automotive, aerospace, defense, and energy sectors. We do a lot of work with Greenville Tech out there as well. And at that center, we just announced an $11 million grant. That's big, that's pretty big money. That's that project does 3D printing for components for vehicles. So they literally print the components for vehicles. Just last week, we had the director of the National Science Foundation. Dear friend of mine, his name is Ponch. I've known him for 15 years. First time the National Science Foundation has ever visited Clemson. Now, this guy controls about $9 billion of research money every year. So we wanted to show him all the great things happening right here. And he chose to come to Greenville. So you also know about our nursing building that we have with Prisma. Unbelievable, state-of-the-art, one of the best nursing facilities in the country, allowed us to double our number of nurses. I think you'd all agree with me that that's a pretty important skill set to have. We need nurses, okay? Then we also have in Greenville, we have Cube Inc., which does bioengineering. I'd argue we have one of the best bioengineering programs in the country. That's at Patewood. And then our building at One Greenville, which is home to our MBA programs. Anybody in here getting ready to graduate with an MBA? I know I have one right there next week. I'll see you on the 22nd. Congratulations. Would you please help me congratulate her on getting her MBA? I'll be looking for you on the stage, okay? By the way, when there's an accreditation team that comes and they look at schools of business, they look at entire universities, but there's a specific accreditation team for a school of business. And when they came here, they told me our facilities here in Greenville are what they consider to be a top 10 in the country. Unbelievable facilities, great faculty. So we actually have facilities across the state, Charleston, Greenwood, Anderson, offices in every county of the state. We want to give you just a really quick update on Clemson as a whole. We're breaking records like crazy, and it's across the board: admissions, research, fundraising, facilities, athletics. And what we've tried to do is create a championship culture in everything we do. Research, let's break the records. Let's make a difference. Academics, let's make sure every student graduates. Athletics, let's go win championships. Facilities, let's build the best. So right now, enrollment at Clemson, 28,466. I never round the number. Every single student matters. I would never say we have approximately 28,000. It's 28,466. Every one of them, I want to graduate. I want to shake their hands. Approximately 22,000 are undergraduate, about 6,000 grad, and some change. So this year we had 53,000 applications for 4,600 spots. 53,000 for 4,600 spots. That's triple the number of applications than 10 years ago. So I want you to think about this in terms of market demand. People want to come to Clemson from everywhere. We had more applications than Duke, Georgia Tech, NC State, Notre Dame, Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech. I could go on and on and on. And I'm just naming a few of them. More people want to come to Clemson. So we just released December the 1st, early application. If you have somebody that applied and they didn't make the first cut, tell them it's okay. All right, first cut. SAT scores were unbelievably high, almost 1,400 average SAT for undergrads on the first round. 85% of the students were in their top 10% of their class. So we get brilliant students. When they come in, they're incredibly successful. Some of the highest retention rates, that's a freshman who comes back as a sophomore for public universities in the country, and some of the highest graduation rates in the country for public universities. And when they get to Clemson, they do great. So last year we announced our first ever Rhodes Scholar. That's a pretty big deal. She won't be our last. Her name is Louise Frankie, but we had 2 astronaut scholars, 3 Goldwater scholars. So Goldwater Scholar is the top science award in the country. Most you can ever get in 1 year is 4. But if you look at the last decade, top science, engineering, technology that you can get in the country. We have more in the last decade than any school in the ACC, any school. So who's producing the best scientists and engineers, technology, mathematicians? We are. We also launched something that may be important to you. It's an industry advisory board. So we took 20 to 25 CEOs, BMW, Boeing, Michelin, Samsung, Bosch, Lockheed Martin, big group, and they meet with us a couple times a year. They hire our students. We do research projects with them. But we want to get our students working very, very closely with industry. Research we've pushed. So we've doubled competitive research over the last 10 years. This year we'll do about $250 million in competitive research. That's outside money coming in. That's a really good thing. So we're going to try to double that again. One other grant I'm really proud of is with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's a $70 million grant. Every penny of that stays in the state. Only 2 states that got grants like this of this size. So I spent a lot of time raising money. I want to talk a little bit about fundraising. And no, I'm not necessarily going to ask you for money today. But the last time I was in this room, we announced a $1 million gift from Dr. John Gilpin. And I got to do it right here. And we celebrated it right here. That was a $1 million gift for bioengineering. So our donors make a difference for us. About 10 years ago, we were raising about 85 million. Last year, we raised 210 million. Now our budget is 1.75 billion. We get about 200 million in private funds. So any of you that support us, thank you for doing it. I got an email yesterday. I had a dinner here last night. And right before I left my house to come to the dinner, there was an email from a student who, if I read it to you, we would all be crying. She's getting ready to graduate on the 22nd, but she was ready to drop out last semester. Couldn't afford to pay her bills, couldn't afford to pay for her apartment, couldn't afford to pay the tuition payments. But because of generous people, we found a way to get her through. So next week she graduates and her life will forever be changed. So I'm really thankful for those people that give us money, whether it's $100 or Billy Powers, who gave us $60 million to launch a whole new College of Business. If you have not seen this, how many people remember the old Clemson house? Beautiful. Anybody know when Clemson house was built? 1950-ish, okay? It was a hotel, but it needed to come down. And we used to have a building called Serene Hall. We still have it. That's where we had our College of Business, built in 1938, over 80 years ago. So now we have this College of Business. Billy and Ann Powers gave us $60 million to build that building. Unbelievably thankful. Many of you know the Richardson family from Spartanburg. Mark and Catherine gave us $10 million a couple of weeks ago for access, increase access to education, and to make sure that students, when they come in, they have the support that they need. So a couple other things. We're building facilities. If you haven't been on the campus in a couple of years, you might not recognize it. We needed to build. The last time we did a big building campaign was in the 60s. So we've done 2 million square feet of new or renovated space. And some of the buildings are spectacular. Watt Family Innovation Center, one of the best academic buildings in the country, with thanks to the Watt family. Snow outdoor fitness facility, absolutely spectacular. Powers College of Business that I mentioned. Phil and Mary Bradley Early Childhood Center, Cannon Chapel, absolutely spectacular. And just last week, we broke ground on the expansion of our women's sports complex. We're going to have gymnastics, which I'm really excited about, and women's lacrosse. It's going to be fun. Who's going? Who's with me? All right. By the way, if you have not been to a women's softball game, you got to go. You got to go. Unbelievable and exciting and fun. So I keep a list. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a data person. I keep lists. And I track, my teammates track for me, every top 20 list that we're on. Most universities, you want to be on 1 or 2 or 3. If you're on a couple top 20 lists, you're pumped up. Just for fun. Guess how many, according to Portia, who was with me, my teammate, Portia Elton, how many top 20 lists? Take a guess. How many top 20 lists do you think were? These are good lists. Yeah, 20. That's a lot more. 47. Close. 141. We're on 141. It's unheard of. So best career services. All these are top 20. Best town gown relations. Happiest students. Students who love their colleges. Students who love their school teams. Best Southeastern colleges. Best value colleges. Best schools for internships. Best alumni networks. We even have the #1 best collegiate ice cream in the country. And somebody, when I came in, asked me if I brought ice cream. If you invite me back, I'll bring ice cream. We also have the #1 collegiate golf course in the country. It's actually hard to find a list that we're not on. It's a lot about our culture, a lot about serving others and making a difference. People are happy when they're serving others. So Forbes listed us as on their 2022 America's Best College list. For 6 years in a row, we got a Higher Education Excellence in Diversity Award. There are 2 that I'm really proud of. These just came out, like in the last month. One of them was we were picked as the 3rd most trusted public university in the country. 3rd most trusted public university in the country. Another was we were picked as the 2nd safest university in the country. And if you think about what that means, why are we on those lists? To me, that's all about culture. It's all about culture. The right people doing the right things. In this room, I stand with the right people doing the right things. Our culture goes way back to our heritage. Military school, agriculture is part of who we are. Service, part of our culture. That's part of who you are. As I said, our missions are incredibly similar. All right, so I'm going to talk about athletics for a minute or two, and I'm going to wrap it up, let you ask me questions. I know you want to talk about athletics. We won the ACC championship, right? We won. We won pretty big. They're like 39-10. That's the 7th in the last 8 years. Never take that for granted. There are schools that have never won an ACC championship. We've won 7 in the last 8 years. Heading to the Orange Bowl to play Tennessee. That's going to be fun. Last year, our men's soccer team won the national championship, which makes us the only university in the country that has 3 national championships in football and 3 in football. So we're the only one. And really excited, as I said, about gymnastics, lacrosse, women's softball. But here's another thing I'm really proud of. For our athletics across the board, we have the highest graduation rates in the ACC and 2nd in the Power 5 in the country. It's important that they graduate, and that's part of our culture. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up. Higher ed's changing like crazy. It's crazy. It's different. Different online delivery mechanisms. You got people watching me online now. You got something called the enrollment cliff coming, where there's going to be a less number of high school students graduating, going to college. You got funding issues, political issues, athletics. You got the transfer portal. You got NIL. You got conference realignment. I'm on the college football playoff committee. You got that. Everything's changing. It's different. We won the national championship in football in 2018. And I'll tell my team, totally different now than it was then. Higher ed is different now than it was then. So there was an article that the Wall Street Journal wrote in 2020, just before the pandemic hit. And in that article, they looked at hundreds of universities across the country. And they went back a couple decades. I'm giving you my interpretation of the article. And they found 2 schools that were pretty similar a couple decades ago. Similar size, similar budget, similar academic offerings, very similar. And the article went on to say that one of those universities is getting ready to close its doors. And the other university is thriving at the highest possible level, breaking records on everything. That university that was getting ready to close its doors, that whole town now is depleted. Like there's nothing happening. The town basically is also shut down. University shut down, town shuts down. The university, they said, that was thriving at the highest level. They could have picked any. There are hundreds of universities in the country. Guess who they picked? They picked us. They picked Clemson. So when we do well, you do well. Greenville and Clemson, Anderson, Pickens County, Oconee County, we all succeed together. So my goal is to make sure when Wall Street Journal writes another article in 20 years, and they go back and they point to us, that together we're still thriving. I love this. This is one of my favorite places, Greenville, in the whole world. I could go anywhere. I love Greenville. Absolutely love Greenville. And it's a deep part of who Clemson is. You saw that when I asked everybody to stand up. So hopefully in 20 years, when they write that article, they will say Clemson and its partners, including the beautiful place, beautiful city of Greenville, continue to thrive. All right. That being said, I'm going to wrap it up. You got questions for me? Q&A. Got a couple minutes. Yes, sir. We are blessed with our experimental forest. We have, 20,000 acres of land. We have the largest contiguous forest attached to a university in the country. It is a gem. It is an absolute gem. We use it for research. We use it for educational programs, and that forest isn't going anywhere. All right. That forest is ours and we're keeping it. We're going to make sure that it's used for all the right purposes. I rarely ever get asked a question about the forest. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Thank you. Well, a lot of people don't know, so we have so many great resources. That's a great resource. Great resource. I'm not sure what you're referencing in that. I can tell you though, so our relationship with the military has never, ever been better, never been stronger. And I don't know the article or the ranking or don't know. I haven't seen that. I do know this. And Portia, you can probably help me, or Julio, you can help me. We're the only university in the country, I think, that got picked on 2 lists. One is military friendly for students and military friendly employers. I think we're the only public university on that list in the entire country. Yeah. So hey, it could. Hey, look, there's a lot of rankings. It could be maybe they scored really well on that. That's great. Babe, but for us, our military, that's part of who we are. Who's been to a military appreciation day game? So I just was at my 10th one. There's not a better one in the country. Our Air Force, Army, ROTC programs, unbelievable. Since I've been there, we've upgraded our student support. First, we moved into a new office, then we moved into another office, and we're doing everything we can. So I appreciate you holding me accountable to that. Thank you. I saw this hand first, then I'll come back over. If you look at our peers, we have more undergraduate students than our peers. So if you look at like a Georgia Tech would have, and I'm going to round for them. I wouldn't round for us when I talk about students, but they got about 27,000 students, 18,000 are undergrad, about 9 are grad. So a 2 to 1. Ours is a different kind of ratio. When I got there, we were much more heavily undergrad. But if you want to increase your research portfolio, you got to build your PhD and graduate program. So we've worked very hard to do that. When I got here in 2013, we were not considered an R1 university. R1 is the highest level of research you can be. We got first affirmed as an R1 in 2015, reaffirmed in 2018, and I think maybe 2021. Competitive research has doubled. So we got to keep building our graduate programs. So hopefully that ratio will slide a little bit. The question that people ask me, if you're going to build your graduate programs and you don't care as much about undergraduate programs, that's not true. Your undergraduate programs even thrive more when you have great graduate programs because undergraduates get involved in research. So hopefully we'll keep moving that needle a little bit. Good question. Yes. Well, that is a great question. I appreciate you asking that as a last question. So when I got here in 2013, I was like, all right, what do we need to do? We need to increase research. We need to build our graduate programs. We need to work on diversity. So we had never, for example, won the Higher Education Excellence in Diversity Award. This year we were called a diversity champion for the 5th year in a row. 5th year in a row, they only picked 14 schools in the country. We've been on that list 5 years in a row. But part of that is putting in the right initiatives. So we put in this program called the Men of Color National Summit 6 years ago, I think. It's held right here in beautiful Greenville, sold out, 2,500 people attend. Great speakers from around the country come, motivational speeches. We've created something called the Tiger Alliance. Julio, you work with that takes high school kids, make sure they graduate and then go to college. Doesn't matter where. But we've worked really, really hard on that. In fact, we have, I don't know the dates, but it's March 28th and 29th will be, I think, the 6th summit right here. And if you get a chance, our basketball team, men's basketball team is playing here Saturday night in a tournament. We play Richmond at 7 o'clock. There are games throughout the day, but we're raising money for the Men of Color Summit. That whole thing, all the proceeds go to the Men of Color National Summit. I'm really proud of that initiative. And if you have not been there, I encourage you to go. It's really exciting to see the future and these young students, pumped up and excited about education and their path forward. So I appreciate that. That was a big initiative for us. Thank you. All right, we probably are out of time. God bless you all. Go Tigers.
Thank you, President Clements. It's wonderful to have you here. It's a treat. Appreciate the connections you drew with this club, and we as people of Greenville, we appreciate the partnership with Clemson as well. It's a winning combination. So thank you all for being here. Just a couple of quick things before we go. One, we had 4 auction items left over from Greenville Holiday Village. They are up here. See Jane, we're going to take donations for them. So you can get a real deal if you still need a Christmas present. There's some good stuff up here. I already got one of them. There were 5, now they're just 4. So take a look at that before you leave. I also promised that I would give a shout out to Cart and Dave Carfelite. Is Dave over there? Yeah, so Dave, come up here real quick.
My job is always to remember the blue bucket in front of you. Not going to do a video today, and the AV crew says thank you. But if you're sitting around the house and you've watched The Christmas Story enough times, or you've watched Love Actually, not again, there is a movie out on Hulu, Prime Plus, as well as Netflix called Still Alice with Julianne Moore. Great example of how people suffer through and what's happening in the world of Alzheimer's. And we have one person who's again matching us this month for any contributions. And I was told to do a quick bio on George Fletcher. And I'm sorry, but George does more every day than I do, within 10 years. So George, thank you very much again for matching us this month.
So just in closing, congratulations to our Rotary Foundation those who received recognition today as part of the Rotary Foundation. Remember that we are doing matching points this month, so all your money will be matched dollar for dollar towards Paul Harris Foundation points. Also, welcome to our new members, Michelle and Jeff and Corey. We're glad to have you all with us. Guests, remember, we'd love to tell you more about Rotary sometime. Come to a Discover Rotary session soon. And next week will be our holiday social. We will be recognizing the success of Pringle Holiday Village, and we will also have some young musicians with us from the Carolina Youth Symphony. So I think that is it. If everyone would please stand and join with me in the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? We are adjourned.
Make sure it says Weaver instead of Paget.
Thank you.